Right, so we're just about a month away from the December 17 district level elections and, of course, the referendum to decide whether to make the elections of the local assembly elections partisan. Well, there are divisions on the matter, and that division is growing by the day. There's the non-partisan division, and then there's the partisan division. The NDC this afternoon declared its position on the matter. They say they are on the side of no. The government has for long been campaigning for a yes vote. That division is clearer this afternoon. Now, before we hear from them, listen to Nana Nsakwao, the fourth, and of course, lawyer Samson Ladi Anyenini. They were arguing for yes and no, respectively, on the Super Morning Show today.
We're just being hypocritical, as if it's not in there. It's there. All that's going to happen now is that's going to be on paper. My assemblyman is an MPP. I mean, it's there. It's not even hidden. But what is happening is that the people are not holding the local government accountable. And I think it's because they haven't voted for them. I'm sure if the DC in my area, we had to vote for him and he was jumping up and down, I would have known who he is. Check this out. The MP is an NDC candidate. So nobody, he's not in government. So there's nothing he can do for us. They did not vote for the DCE, so there's not much accountability they're demanding from him. I get more pressure than he does. Even for a road that's, God-forsaken road, the amount of people who come and say, how am I going to fix this road? I'm just saying that if they open the lid and we stop this hypocrisy, probably other parties and other individuals could get in there. And once they have come jumping up and down making their promises, the people would then say, hey, fix this road or get us a borehole.
This referendum is such a waste of money, it's so unnecessary, and we're wasting money to further destroy this country. The single most existential threat that we have identified together is the hooligans that we choose conveniently to call party vigilante. How did they come about? It is the partisanship that gave birth to them. Whether you vote yes or you vote no, you can still have your MMDCs elected. To have your MMDCs elected, Parliament must amend Article 243. Clause 1 and I think clauses 2. That is all there is to it. They don't need to go to a referendum, which is an entrenched provision. You see, do you know, Daniel, you know why the framers of the Constitution put Article 55.3 in an entrenched provision? It is because they don't want anybody to tinker with the unity we enjoy at the local level. Nana, as a chief, needs this unity. He doesn't need the polarization that is killing this country.
The biggest yes advocate is the president.
When the referendum is held, along with the district assembly elections, to decide whether or not we should move one step further in the consolidation of democracy in our country. The time has come for us to move forward and bring greater and more effective progress to our country. So I'm asking all of you, on the 17th of December, when you go to vote for the district, for your members of your district assembly, to also vote in the referendum. The referendum, the Constitution requires that 40% of the people turn out to vote and 75% vote yes. I am confident that in Akachi, the turnout will be even more than 40% and the vote is going to be more than 75%.
President speaking there. But today, the NDC has been speaking about their opposition to a yes vote, and they've asked Ghanaians to rather vote no.
The matter was deliberated upon extensively at a meeting of the National Executive Committee held last Thursday, at which the party firmed its position on the pending referendum and agreed to hold today's press conference to inform Ghanaians of our position. The referendum, as we have been told, seeks to amend Article 55.3 of the Constitution. That amendment has nothing to do with the election of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. A notice put out by the EC saying, among others, that the referendum is to approve or reject the provision of whether MMDCs are to be voted for or not is palpably falsehood. The government was deliberately misleading people into believing that the referendum is to elect MMDCs, knowing that the election of MMDCs is the people's preference. No less a personality than the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo himself, made these false claims last week. In fact, the NCCE should have called out the President for peddling misinformation and untruth. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, at the meeting held last Thursday, the neck of the NDC affirmed our long-held position that MMDCs should be elected. We, however, took the view that the local governance system should remain non-partisan and that individuals contest the elections, the district assembly election and unit committee elections on their own merits. We therefore decided to campaign for no vote at the referendum and to urge all Ghanaians to vote no at the referendum. It is our well-considered view, and indeed that of well-meaning Ghanaians, that the needless NDC-MPP polarization at the national level should not be extended into the district assemblies and unit committees, which is what will happen if we vote to make the local government system partisan. The consequence of exporting this polarization to the district assemblies is that very soon in our villages, there will be NDC Communal Labour Day and MPP Communal Labour Day. There will also be NDC market and MPP market, and so on and so forth. We of the NDC believe that all our towns and villages should have one Communal Labour Day and one market day. And we can only achieve this by voting no in order to keep the cohesion of our towns and villages as it has been since the introduction of the 1992 Constitution intact.
So, with the political front so divided, how are you going to make informed choices about what the referendum is all about? Well, in the studio, as always, Joyce Afutu joins us to help us with some Afutu. She's the Director of Communications for the National Commission on Civic Education, and she's here to help us understand it all. But first, we ran a poll on our social media. We'll have a quick look at that and the results of that in a short while. But Joyce, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into this with you, we've been speaking to people on the streets. Let's take a quick look at their views on this matter.
I'll say it's good in the sense that you see, like the MCC, when the political parties or the individuals vote for the MCCs, on 4 years, I think they will know that it is the people who voted for them. So within that 4 years, they will try to do their best. But when the government gives them that opportunity, they can do whatever that like. So the same as this in the assemblyman too. I think it will be good for us to say yes and amend this in the constitution.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I guess I have to take time and get to know what is involved. Actually, then I'll know where to stand.
Are you aware of the upcoming referendum?
No, I'm not aware. I don't know anything about referendum. No, I don't have any idea about that.
They said they are going to vote for yes and no of AMC or so, and I don't know what does that mean, and to elect the assemblymen also. Yeah, that's what I know of that memorandum that they are talking about.
Yes, I'm aware. It's a trench position in the Constitution, which empowers the president to appoint district chief executives, but it seems is giving the various presidents or the various governments giving them problems. So they have amended that Article 55 or so of the Constitution, that the constituency, the people themselves will elect their own district chief executives.
Right. We'll tell you also what's been said on social media about this, but let's get into this with Joyce. Nice to see you once again. Yes, now, while that was playing, I was seeking some clarity on something which has become something of a debate amongst Ghanaians about exactly what is happening on the 17th of December. So I'll tell you what I understand, and then you can correct me. So first, there'll be a referendum.
Yes.
That referendum is to decide whether or not district level elections are to be partisan. So whether or not, yes or no.
Yes.
Then the second thing is that people will vote for their assembly members. Okay.
And
now,
third,
there's a third thing.
unit committee members.
And of course, unit committee members. Yes. Thank you for that. Now, coming back to the first thing, which is the referendum, it says district level elections. I want to understand, does this include MMDCEs or not? Because district level elections, strictly as we understand it, that would be assemblymen and women, and then unit committee members or whatever is below that. Not MMDCEs, am I wrong?
No, because the MMDC, they are on a different article on its own. That's 243 clause 1. Yeah, that is where we have the MMDCs.
Right.
But they form part of the assembly. Because if you look at Article 242 on the composition of district assemblies, we have one person from each electoral area. We have MPs whose constituencies fall within the districts. They are ex-officio members. They don't have voting rights.
Right.
Then we have municipal chief, metropolitan, municipal or district chief executives. They are appointed by the president. Then we have 30% appointees, also by the president in consultation with traditional authorities and other economic groups within the district.
None of those are voted for?
Yeah, we only vote for the assembly members who are representing the electoral areas
not
within the
the
district.
ones appointed by the president.
No, the ones appointed,
not the
no.
chief executive.
No, not the also the MPs.
Right.
So the only people who are voted for are the assembly members.
Right.
So they form the districts.
So the referendum is about them.
The referendum is about deciding. In fact, the referendum question that the Electoral Commission put out, we read on the ballot paper. Are you in favor of amendment of clause 3 of Article 55 to allow political parties to sponsor candidates to district assemblies or lower local government units?
That's right.
So if you are in favor, then yes, the yellow you thumbprint. If you are not, then no, dark brown you thumbprint.
So the NDC in their recent press statement, where they say that they are not in favor of partisan election of MMDCEs.
Yes.
Have they missed the point?
Yes, because the referendum is not about the election of MMDCEs. If you look at Article 243 clause 1, that article gives the president the power to appoint MMDCEs, and then he gives them to the assembly to either accept or reject those people. So amendment of Article 243(1) in Parliament now seeks to take that power of the president to appoint and give that power to the people of Ghana to elect the MMDCs. But because it is part of, MMDCs are part of the district assembly system. So if, as the bill is in Parliament now, if Parliament amends that article to allow the citizens to elect their own MMDCs, and if we vote yes at the referendum, it means we are saying political parties to field candidates to contest the district level, the MMDC's election if they are going to be elected.
Right.
But the referendum, if we vote no, then we are saying that, we want to maintain the status quo, so that if we have to elect our district chief executive, it means it has to be done on non-partisan basis. So you can see that amendment of Article 243 clause 1 is not dependent on the amendment of Article 55 clause 3.
Well, actually, this is of concern, because I need to correct something. It's not the NDC that is confused. The NDC actually seems to have got it right.
Yeah.
It's the Electoral Commission. It's the Electoral Commission that speaks to election of MMDCEs.
Because the question that we have, that we used was the bill. The question on the bill, whether you are in favor of the amendments. That's the question we have. Are you in favor of amendment of clause 3 of Article 55? I don't know whether you have that one.
Well, this is, I'm going to read this. Let's see. Okay, so this says, at the meeting held last Thursday, I'm sorry, there isn't a source on this, so I'd better not read it.
Yes.
There isn't a source on it, but this is the one that wrongly states election of MMDCEs, but I don't have a source, so I will not quote it. Forgive me for that. But the clarity is good. What you're telling us is it is about those who will be elected to positions of on the district assembly and those below, so unit committees.
So said district assembly in lower local government units.
All right.
Unit committees. So on 17th December, the referendum question, it is not, emphatically, it is not about going to decide to elect MMDCs. No. We are going to decide whether we want political party participation in district level elections or local governance.
Okay.
That's the decision we are going to make.
Right.
So if you want, you are in favor of that. That is when you vote yes. If you are not in favor, then you vote no. So as Article 243 is being worked on by Parliament now, they can go on and they can amend. And the President can cede that power to citizens to elect. It means it is going to be on non-partisan basis.
Okay.
So as you are sitting here, if you want to contest, you can go and contest. But if it becomes maybe partisan, because of the nature of your work, you have to stay away from active political participation, so you can't go and contest. And there are several well-meaning Ghanaians who would want to go and contest on their individual capacities to serve their district and all that. So that is the difference. So let us not get confused if we have been confused for some time now.
Now, the argument, let's look at both sides of it. I mean, you're supposed to educate us, so give us the civic implications of each argument. The first is those who say vote yes. Let's make it partisan. Now, their argument is that, look, people don't actually participate. People don't go out and vote for their assemblymen and women. So they don't feel a certain need to hold them to account. They don't feel engaged. They don't feel like they should chase them and find out, what are you doing for me? How are you representing me? Because they don't feel like I voted for them. So if you make it partisan, well, that's what everybody's thinking. That's what everybody cares about. That's where everybody's mind already is. So if you just make it partisan, then, you know, people will vote more and people will feel more of a need to hold these people to account. They also talk about the fact that, well, these people already are partisan, even if they're not announcing it. So why not just formalize it and then in the process get more people voting for them? Let's talk about the other side as well quickly. Those who say no, they say, look, most of our problems is because everything is partisan. The one level of election which is not is the one that's closest to the people, and that's the assembly and unit committees. If you make that partisan as well, immediately what you're doing is that you're extending the executive to the point where it covers all levels of government, all the way down to the most local. And what you do then is that the problem that exists at the highest level of politics with the partisanship, the division, you know, the influence and the patronage and all that, you immediately extend it to the end of the spectrum at the local level as well, and that is bad. Tell me the civic implications. You started when you talked about how people would literally have to give up their jobs to participate in assembly elections if it becomes partisan. What else? What are the other implications of both?
If it is non-partisan. As what I would like to educate Ghanaians on is that the district level election is very critical and it is very important, and people should really get involved in that, because that is where we have development of the community. So if you need anything, it's assembly that you need to go, and people should not say that because I didn't vote for the district chief executive, because as for your assembly member, you elected that person. But the district chief executive is appointed by the president, and it is the people's representatives who endorse those people. So we can also hold them accountable. But the issue is that because this time around they are appointed and they are not elected, you would want to vote them out, but the appointing authority will get them in. So that is where we have the challenge. Unlike where if we elected them, we can revoke their mandate if they do not perform, and we can maintain them if we think they are doing well for us. So let us see two. And one of the proponents who are saying, oh, people should vote yes and all that, what is coming out is that the issue of the winner takes all. If you win the general elections, it means you are going to govern from the executives up to the parliamentary level. So they are thinking that if the district level election is made partisan, you can have one party winning the general elections, and then at the district level, you can have several parties fielding candidates. And you know, in Ghana, we have strongholds. There are some of the strongholds, even if you put a bottle with the colors, people will vote for that. So they think, oh, it's not only one party that can govern, but when you come to the grassroots, other parties will also get involved so that people will not feel that they are not part of the governance system anytime we have to go into elections. So those are some of the things that people are saying. But
is that a realistic argument, though, bearing in mind that that happens in Parliament?
Yeah, it happens in Parliament. Yes, and they are
working. It doesn't make any difference.
The argument people are also making is that, when you have one party being at the executive level and then you have a different party at the grassroots, people are going to sabotage the other government and all that. I think that is neither here nor there. Let me give you
the opportunity to speak to this last aspect of it. In Parliament today, there was a lot of talk about the NCCE. They said, you haven't done a good job. People don't know enough about what's coming up in December. In fact, some people didn't even realize there was a referendum coming up. What do you say to that?
I'll not debunk what you are saying. That it's going to be yes or no. In that we started the campaign at a point. Even our national campaign that we are undertaking is the Ministry of Local Government that is sponsoring or supporting the SCC, I must say. So we submitted a budget to them, and it was this back and forth. So the budget got approved getting to the end of August. So we started our campaign in September. So I must say the campaign is ongoing. We have a month, so we are working hard, and we are urging all educators to, get on board a campaign so that we can get a lot of, we can get all eligible voters to get to know, get to understand and decide on what they want to vote for come December 17th.
Joyce Afutu of the NCCE, thank you so much for making the time to be with us.